Alright, here we're trying this again. I screwed something up last time, but I'm gonna give this another shot. So, this is gonna be about psychedelic mushrooms, also known as psilocybin mushrooms, which are starting to be studied a lot more in many universities, such as Johns Hopkins. There's a lot of documentaries coming out nowadays which are showing that these psilocybin mushrooms, which create a psychoactive experience, they help people to ease their anxiety. Some people have healed from PTSD. Some people have just had profound life-changing experiences like myself. And I was going to write out this story, which is technically called a trip report, but I decided that I wanted to share it vocally through video for the first time. And so that's what I'm going to try and do right now. So I first took psilocybin mushrooms when I was a junior in high school in 2008, and then I had about two. That was a very profound experience, and I have shared a little bit about that very first time. Really opened my eyes to a lot, and then I had two profound experiences following that same summer of 2008. But then I waited a whole year to do them again, and so then I was a freshman at Penn State. This was in 2009, and this is the story of when I took, I believe, like 3.5 grams of mushrooms. So I was a freshman at Penn State. I had been really, like, ever since my first mushroom trip, I was just like studying consciousness all the time and like watching YouTube documentaries, reading lots of books about these topics. And I came across an amazing person, Terence McKenna, who's like a psychedelic philosopher, and he talks about the benefits of doing mushrooms in pitch black darkness. So like most of my trips had just been like walking in nature, which I highly recommend. It's a beautiful way to experience magic mushrooms. But I really wanted to try it like blindfolded, but I didn't want to just like do it in my dorm room, so I wanted to like go out to nature and do it in the woods. So I asked my friend Dan if he wanted to go with me because I wanted to have like a trip sitter for this experience. And so one day we planned for like a Saturday. I think I tried to fast for like almost an entire day before the trip because that like cleanses your system a little bit and makes you even more sensitive to the mushrooms. And I will say before I share this story, I do highly respect magic mushrooms, and every single time I treat them with like the utmost reverence. I haven't really tripped on mushrooms in the past like 5 years because I've just been integrating all of my previous experiences. And that's really like a key part of the message I want to share here. It's like, unless you integrate your experiences with mushrooms or any psychedelics, then they're not really helping you that much. And it could become like an addictive pattern. So, you know, two metaphors that I really like to share related to psychedelics. One of them is that psychedelics are kind of like a helicopter. They take you to the top of the mountain and they show you this incredible view, but then the helicopter brings you back down to the bottom of the mountain, and it's up to you to learn how to like actually climb up that mountain yourself and achieve those states of consciousness, those states of being, without depending on these external substances. And that's really been like the quest that I've been on since really the first time I took psychedelics. I was like, holy shit, how did this happen? And how can I like learn how to get back to this realm without needing to take mushrooms? So, anywho, that's one metaphor. Is the helicopter takes you to the top of the mountain. The other metaphor that I like is that the mushrooms are like a teacher. They're like a wise elder or a wise shaman. And when you take psychedelics, it's like you're going over to let's say she's a curandera, like a healer, an indigenous healer. You're going over to her house and she's showing you these amazing things, and she's, helping you to heal certain things. But then she says, okay, now go home and do your homework. I'm not going to just let you stay at my house all the time. You have to go now do your homework. And that's really the key, I think, with psychedelics. So I just wanted to share those two kind of metaphors that have helped me a lot in my journey. So, flashback to the story. I'm a freshman at Penn State. I have these mushrooms. I asked my friend Dan if he wants to do them with me. I wanted him to like take a much smaller dose so he could be like my trip sitter, essentially. So I fast for a day. We get on our bikes. We bike out to like 5 miles away from campus, and we go out to these woods. And it's kind of like cornfield slash like open field area type of vibe. And I'm like, hey, Afemi, thanks for tuning in. This is a pretty fun story if you want to stick around. So we bike out to these woods, and I'm like super set on just like doing this inward journey of blindfolded, like Terrence McKenna recommends. So I get out there, I'm like, okay, I'm like taking it like so seriously, like really like this is my time to like go within and like discover my inner world, because all my other trips had been just like la di da enjoying nature. So so I go out there, I do my like ceremony with myself. I kind of like call in the directions and my spirit guides and stuff, and I take the mushrooms and I lay down blindfolded. And so I'm just like laying on the ground. Meanwhile, my friend Dan, he's like the most easygoing dude ever. He's just like dancing around, singing and stuff. And I'm like really trying to take this seriously. I'm like, okay, this is my quest, my quest for knowledge, you know. So I like have my blindfold on. I'm like laying in these pile of leaves. It was October at the time, so it was like fall autumn season. I was laying on these like crunchy leaves, and I'm laying there, and like nothing's really happening. Then probably like 25 minutes goes by, and I'm getting kind of anxious. I'm like I'm kind of like bored just laying here with my eyes closed. So, but I was like, I'm gonna treat this seriously. I'm gonna stick with it. So I lay for probably like 5 more minutes. Um, I lay for like 5 more minutes. What's up, John? Um, I lay for like 5 more minutes, and then this vision comes to me. Like when psychedelics are first starting to kick in, you often have these like visions, especially if your eyes are closed, which is a good reason to do the blindfold thing. But I have this vision of like a little kid. It was like a commercial from like the 90s of like a little blonde kid, and he's like waiting for his mom to make waffles, to like bring him his waffles. This is the vision I had, and he's just like so excited. And that was like the vibe I got. I just like sat up, I took my blindfold off, and I just felt like this little kid finally like getting what I was looking for. And by this time, like nature had just like gotten so much brighter. It was like everything was in like HD. And I got up from taking my blindfold off, and the message that I kept getting was, "There's no fucking rules." I just look at, I like call out to Dan. I'm like, Dan, there's no fucking rules. Like we made up all the rules. I just kept saying that, and like it was so clear to me that like all these like anxieties and all these things that were going through my head were just like preconceived, like things that humans made up. It was like none of this shit was written in stone. And I just was seeing this so clearly. I was like, everything that our society is doing, they're just fucking rules that we made up, and we could fucking change them. Like it's all just a story that we're all believing in. We're all like actors in this big story. So I was like having these revelations, and I was like, you know what? I'm feeling super energized. I'm out here in nature. I'm not gonna do this blindfold thing. I'm gonna go like adventure in the woods. So I just like meet up with Dan. I like get my backpack on, and we just start like marching through this beautiful nature area. And like I swear to you, like I've had like probably 20 mushroom trips in my life, like profound mushroom trips. I'm estimating, I should probably count it, but this one was the most vivid of feeling like I was in the Garden of Eden. It was like I had like jumped into a parallel reality, and it also felt like it was the Land Before Time. Like, have any of you seen that movie with the dinosaurs? It's like the Land Before Time. I just had this feeling of like ancient earth vibes, like we had been, like I had been like stuck in this trance of like modern society, but I had like shifted into this parallel reality of like ancient vibes. I just felt like this earth has been around for so many fucking millions and billions of years. And so So it felt like I was in the Land Before Time, and like I was like, what should I do? Like I kept saying, there's so many possibilities. What should I do? And it was like every direction that I looked in, I got like this like different sort of vibe shooting at me. It was like I could like explore all those infinite possibilities, and then I'd like look over here, and it was like, oh, look at all those vibes, and they were like shooting at me, and I was like, or I could explore all those possibilities, and like it was just blowing my mind how many options there were of what to do. Um, John says Land Before Time looks old as hell for a cartoon. Yeah, it was. That was an old Disney movie, I think. But anyway, so we keep adventuring, and like I remember just like sprinting as fast as I could just to like feel the exhilaration of being alive, and I was just feeling so much gratitude for to be alive, and still like the mushrooms were intensifying at this point, and and so I finally picked up this little thing from the ground. It was, I can't even describe it. It was like a plant, but it was like furry, and it looked kind of like a DNA coil. And when I picked it up, I broke it off from the ground and it was holding in my hand. And I swear to God, this thing was like moving in my hand. It was like a live caterpillar. And I was like, Dan, look at this. Like this plant is alive. It's freaking wriggling in my hand. And I just like could not believe it. It felt like I had just like I was in the land of miracles. And like everything, this is like a huge theme of the whole trip, was just like boundaries dissolved. Terrence McKenna always talks about this. The boundaries dissolved, and everything just like blended perfectly harmoniously together. It was like I became totally a piece of nature. I like dissolved all of this separation consciousness that I had come with from society, and I was just like totally enmeshed in nature, and I could see how like every single part of nature had like its perfect purpose, and like the leaves were over there doing their leafy thing. Like I kept just saying like everything's doing its thing. Like the grass is just like fucking awesome at being grass, and like this ladybug is so good at being a ladybug. Like I just felt like a little kid. I felt like that little kid in the little blonde kid in the commercial getting his waffles from his mom. And so, we just kept exploring, and like at this point like time just totally didn't exist. Like I was just like, Dan, I have no idea what time it is. I don't even know what time is. Like, do we have to be back by any sort of time? And we had gone out there at probably like 4 p.m. So I was like, we should make sure we go back before it gets dark, because I don't want to bike in the dark. um so we keep walking around the woods. We're having a magical time, and Dan is just like singing and having a good time, and I was just like totally thinking about how at this point in my life I was really into like earth activism, and I was thinking about these activists who literally like put their life on the line to defend nature. Like Julia Butterfly Hill spent 2 years in a tree house to make sure that they didn't cut it down. And I was just thinking about like the absolute insanity of our society now, that we're literally just like destroying nature with fucking bulldozers like 1,000 acres a second or something. And how like there's these people that are like earth activists that are literally going to jail for defending nature. And I was just feeling for like I felt like I connected to these people that were now literally behind bars and cages because they wanted to protect nature. And that was just like blowing my mind. And I was like, why would we want to fucking destroy nature? And this led me, shortly after this trip, I read a book which I highly recommend. I'll write it in the comments. Everything by this author, Charles Eisenstein, is awesome, but I specifically read his book called The Ascent of Humanity. Um, and it basically explains like how modern civilization has come to this point of just like destroying nature. But it's a very inspiring book, and he's got amazing YouTube videos also. So anyway, I had this mind-blowing experience of just connecting with nature and feeling like everything that we're doing in society is just this like perception of separation. We think of ourselves as not nature. We're like, oh, I'm gonna go into nature, but like literally we are nature. Like could you name one part of your body that's not made from nature? Like there's none of it. It's all, everything is just, you know, based on this natural world. Your clothes aren't made of like an asteroid, and even if they were made of an asteroid, that would still be nature technically. So, anyways, I was just feeling like this profound sense of how sacred nature is, and how like we've just been like indoctrinated to put our blinders on to see how beautiful nature is. And for since my very first mushroom trip a year before this, I had like finally opened my eyes to the beauty of trees and stuff, which I had basically been numb to my whole life before this. So, anyways, we're finally wrapping up. We're like, okay, we should bike back before it gets dark. So we get on our bikes and we start biking. Meanwhile, I'm still on mushrooms, which is probably not the smartest thing, but I had basically come down by this point. And we're biking back, and we bike by like this farm with all these horses, and I was just like in awe of how majestic horses are. And I still feel like I have some weird judgment of horses, because I'm like, why do people have horses? They just like sit there and don't really do anything. But the truth is, horses are freaking amazing and super majestic, and they're super like conscious also, which I recommend an amazing YouTube channel. If y'all are bored ever and want to watch cool YouTube videos, I mean, I make decent YouTube videos, but this woman, Sky, who has a YouTube channel called Sky Life, she just did a whole video about the magic of horses. Um, anyway, so we're biking back. Whoops, that was weird. We're biking back. We finally get back, and I go to this place at Penn State. It's called the Arboretum. It's a really sacred, like, tree garden area, and I bike there. And while I'm biking back, it's always weird when you're coming down from mushrooms. You're like morphing back into normal state of consciousness. And I biked past this girl from Penn State who was jogging. Yeah, it is sad, Afia, that horses are in jail. I do I do think we should figure out how to. I know a lot of horses are still wild in some areas. Um, so anywho, I'm biking back. I bike past this girl who was from Penn State, just like jogging on the sidewalk, and I got like this wave of like what I perceived that her consciousness was in, and she was like, I know I'm gonna sound judgmental right now, but she just seemed like a sorority girl who was like totally absorbed in this race of like trying to be beautiful and trying to like always be in shape, and like super stressed out about all the judgments from all the other girls. And I was just like, my mind was blown. I was like, how are people so fucking stuck in these illusions? Meanwhile, nature is fucking amazing and beautiful, and we can go like connect with nature and let go of all these worries and judgments and just like stupid shit. And so like biking past this girl, I just got like this wave of what I perceived to be her vibe. I'm sure it was also reflecting my own insecurities and stuff too. But that was I vividly remember that. And so I went back and I sat on this bench at this like garden center, and like the sunset was just breathtakingly beautiful, and it felt like my consciousness was just like so expanded that I could like feel the energy of the clouds so much more than usual. They were like orange and purple and turquoise, and I was just like so just like fulfilled with my day. Like I had just experienced the true beauty of nature for really like the first time in my life. um and I was just like on this bench, and I remember just like journaling all these notes, all these things were coming to me. And the title of the trip that I published a whole trip report on this online like 10 years ago, but somehow I lost it. The title was unbelievable or unspeakably profound and valuable. That's what I titled it. And like I truly believe that, if magic mushrooms are used in the right way, that is the results that they will bring, is like super profound and valuable experiences for people. But as I mentioned before, they do need to be treated with like the utmost respect. And I often explain that psychedelics are like fire. Like fire is extremely powerful. It can help you cook your food, it can keep you warm, it can do all kinds of good stuff. But if you screw it up, it can also burn down your house. And like the truth that a lot of people that are psychedelic advocates don't often talk about is how psychedelics can screw you up, and like they can easily be abused. And that's a huge reason why for the past like 5 years I've basically done no psychedelics, and I've just been integrating all of my experiences and trying to apply the wisdom and the teachings that I received. So like I literally wrote, I felt like I was assigned by the universe to write these two books. This is my first book, Unlocking Our Superpowers, and then this is another book called The New Earth is Here. And these books are basically like everything I learned throughout my journey with psychedelics and through many other experiences. So Afumi says, "Infinite perfection in every direction, without exception, interconnection." Exactly. That was a mantra that I received. Thank you for remembering that. That was a mantra that I received. I can't exactly remember when I received that mantra, but yeah, I mean, at the base level, we're literally like my shirt has sacred geometry in it. We're literally in like a web. We're literally in a web of sacred geometry in infinite directions, and we're totally embedded in it. And just remembering that we're all part of this interconnected web is a beautiful thing, and it helps you to not judge yourself so much. It's like, how could I judge just a little piece of the universe? Like everything, am I going to judge a ladybug for having like 12 spots instead of 13 spots? No. Like we're all beautiful in our own way, and everything that is like harshly judging and criticizing, and it's pretty much all man like humans concepts that we've just like plastered onto reality. And of course, it's important to be discerning and to have your own values. Like as I said at the beginning of the trip, like there's no rules. Like in some sense, there is no rules. Like if you go into the natural world, everything's just doing its thing. But we we do need to have some morals and ethics and stuff. Obviously, I believe in that kind of stuff, but it's also helpful to remember that like pretty much everything is just what we've decided and the story that we created. Afumi says, if we disrespect the plant teacher, we lose access to our innocence and suffer profoundly in confusion. Um, yeah, I agree. And so a lot of people nowadays are really into psychedelics and stuff. But the key is to realize that like all of these things are accessible without psychedelics. Psychedelics are, as I said, like a glimpse into what you can access. But the real work is to be able to tap into those things on a daily basis. And that's why, like in both of my books, I share so many tools that are like practical things that you can do in your daily life that don't include psychedelics. For example, if you have like many people on psychedelics, they have these profound visions of what they want to create in the world. And they're on top of the mountain and it seems so easy and it seems so clear. But then it's like you come down from the trip and you're like, oh, I don't know how to do all that. So like in my book Unlocking Our Superpowers, I have a whole chapter called The Keys to Creativity. And it's literally like a formula that you can implement to turn an idea into reality. And that's the formula that I've used to write these two books and to complete a lot of different other projects. And part of the keys to creativity is what's called the VAST model. You can write this down if you want. V stands for vision. A stands for assessment. So assessing like what resources and things you need to achieve that vision. S stands for strategy. So turning your action steps into a strategy. And then T stands for timeline. So plotting it on a timeline of how you're going to actually, implement that vision. So that's just one helpful example of tools that I like to share with people of like how to actually, integrate what you've received on psychedelics and turn it into reality. Um, so, Scoobily Doo, that was just a little glimpse. And what really inspired me to even share this whole story, I'll just post this. Let me see if I can post a picture. Meditative mind. Bum, ba, bum. Insert. Okay, it won't let me post a picture in the comments right now, but I'll try and pull it up on YouTube. So I was watching this music, meditative. I was watching this or listening to this music on YouTube, and the picture that they had in the background reminded me like exactly of this psychedelic trip that I just told the story of. So I'm just gonna post that in the comments. It's super chill, like healing music, but like the vibe with all the butterflies and stuff, it brought me back like exactly into that whole experience. It literally, the whole trip that I just shared, it felt like everything was enchanted once again. It was like everything was magical. It literally, I was like, wow, like this is what little kids are like. Like they can just see the fucking infinite magic. Like there's no concept of boredom. Like the world is just overflowing with magic and possibilities and like cool stuff. I was like, oh, like this is why little kids never get bored playing at the park, because when you like have that perception, you can see the beauty everywhere. But it's like we get conditioned in society to lose track of that beauty and to become numb to it. We have traumas that like make us shut down. And so that's why I'm so passionate about healing, because psychedelics often reveal what's possible, and then it's up to you to do like the healing work to actually get closer into that state of being all the time, which has really been like the quest I've been on for the past 12 years, trying to heal my own wounds, my own traumas, and help other people do the same. So, yeah, thank you all for listening. If you have any questions now or in the future, feel free to message me. I do want to highly recommend, if you're wanting to learn more about psychedelics, there's a series on this thing called Gaia TV, which is you can like get a free 1 week. You can get a free 1 week trial in order to check it out. But there's a whole series called Psychedelica that explores many different plant medicines and talks to different experts. It's really well done in my opinion, and that gives you a lot of good information. But I do think it's very important to be cautious with these things and to really do your research. Obviously, if you have any strong history of mental illness in yourself or in your family, like that's pretty much a red flag with these things. And also, especially if you're like actually taking medication, they can often be very harmful if you mix them with psychedelics. So I just want to like put out that big caution. But the truth is, like, there's thousands of kids just like fucking experimenting with this shit, and they have zero guidance. So it's kind of like your parents just sometimes are like, okay, well, if the kids are gonna drink, let's have them drink at home so that we know they're not like running through the streets. I think we need to all, those of us who have had some experiences, need to like share our experience and our kind of insights with people, so that people, especially young, maybe naive people, still have some, you know, decent information out there on these things, so they're not just like this crazy taboo subject. And it's amazing. I mean, you'll see if you watch that documentary how much new science is coming out to affirm what indigenous people have been saying for thousands of years, that, these mushrooms, peyote, ayahuasca, all of these different things have incredible healing properties. So I definitely recommend checking that out. If you have any other question or something, feel free to mention it. Afimi says, Steiner called it developing organs of perception to be able to resonate in your nervous system at the level of a plant being. That's really cool. Yeah, I believe she's referring to Rudolf Steiner, who is an incredible philosopher. He helped start Waldorf schools, if you've ever heard of like alternative education with Waldorf schools. So, yeah, I do think that's really the key. It's like psychedelics tune you into like the many states of consciousness and states of being which are possible, but it takes a lot of practice to be able to achieve those states on your own. And for me, like one huge recommendation that I have for everyone is a practice called Yin Yoga. It's like very slow yoga. It helps you to tune into the subtle energies and the subtle sensations. And that's really like where the magic is at in these subtle realms. A lot of plants they don't send you some giant fast signal. They're sending you like really subtle information, but so if you get in tune with your own subtle energy, then you can like harmonize with such a thing. Um, so that is a magical thing to do. Another tool which I'm honestly just never gonna stop sharing these things because I'm so obsessed with them. These are Octopus body massagers. You can use these on your head, but you can also use them on your whole body, and these help you to like cool down your nervous system and just like find a state of peace and relaxation. And this can honestly help you to like tune into these subtle energies and to just feel harmonious in your body and mind. So if anyone's ever interested in these, I do sell these. I'm totally in love with them. The best like I made a whole video explaining these things, but the one thing I forgot is like if you have a friend who's like laying down, you can like do this while on the back of their head while they're laying down. That's like the best position in my opinion. Especially if you use two of them at a 45-degree angle. It's literally just pure magic. And it is fun to do them with yourself. You can do it to yourself, and it's very relaxing too. But um, it's really the best when you have somebody else to do it to you. So she says she's folding her laundry. Thank you so much for helping me hold clarity while I do this mundane task. Singing, dancing, conscious lovemaking. We can do this. Exactly. That's the like one download that I'll share with you all that like has really helped me is that a, a huge amount of our brainwashing is this concept that like we're supposed to get enjoyment from the outside and we're not supposed to like create it from the inside. It's like we've been conditioned like, "Oh, what should we do tonight? Well, let's go to a concert because that they hold the music over there. We can't like make music ourselves." But that's really the key. Like we have so much ability to create joy and positive emotions and all kinds of stuff from within us, but we've been conditioned to always think that we need like an external source of that. But if you can learn to like create it from the inside and just like entertain yourself, find ways to have fun, that is a huge way to, live a fulfilling life and not be stuck in this consumerism trend of thinking that like the only way to have a good time is, from buying things or consuming other people's stuff when like there's so much joy to creating experiences on your own. So you don't always need an external source of such things. Um, Fiamma, do you have any magical questions for me? Since it sounds like you're consuming other people's attention makes us so sick. Yeah, I agree. That's why I like to spend a lot of time in nature and just hang out with Mama Gaia and all the nature creatures. Um, so yeah, thanks for tuning in, y'all. I'm gonna just post some links to my other things. I know I'm talking about like don't consume other people's stuff, but I honestly put a lot of heart and soul into everything that I share, and so I feel no shame in sharing it, and I do think it's worthwhile things rather than like SpongeBob SquarePants or something. Um, so I just posted some of those links in the comments. Bum ba da bum. And yeah, you are all awesome. Thanks for tuning in. If you made a video or something, I encourage other people to like make videos about your psychedelic experiences because that's one other cool thing. I know I keep saying one more cool thing, but I know a lot of cool things and I love a lot of cool things. Um so it's like you can literally like put on mushroom glasses if you really think about it. Which reminds me of another cool thing, believe it or not. Um so like it's fun to like tell the story of certain experiences with psychedelics because it often like helps you tune back into those energies and communicate them with other people. So I encourage you to share your stories either in writing or whatever medium you like to do. Um, Consuming and sharing with reciprocity, super different, she says. Yes, I agree. I think we're meant to be in the flow of give and receive, and that's really a beautiful thing. Um, so yeah, I was just gonna mention I don't have them in reach right now, but there's these glasses that are like orange, shaded orange. They're technically called blue light blockers, but they literally feels in the body to share versus use consume. Yeah, I will totally speak to that in a minute. So I just want to say there's these glasses that are shaded orange that literally activate similar feelings to when I'm on mushrooms. There's three qualities to it. One, they expand your peripheral vision, which is usually the case on mushrooms, which I've actually reprogrammed my brain to expand my peripheral vision so that it's like pretty much permanently expanded, which is really cool. Um, and part of that deals with getting out of a trauma, flight, or fight state where you're like in tunnel vision. So these glasses, they expand your peripheral vision. They also they increase your depth perception. So like when you put on these glasses, everything starts to look similar to what it's like on mushrooms because your pupils, I believe, dilate, and so you can see like higher definition in nature, which is just really cool and really fun. And lastly, they almost like fuse your field of vision so that your right and your left eye are almost like more harmonious, and I believe that that helps to integrate your brain hemispheres. So I'm just gonna like post a little thing in the comments to these blue light blocker glasses. Bum ba da bum. You can probably get them on a website besides Amazon. If you don't want to support Amazon, which I totally understand. Um, so let's see here. Yeah, these are the ones that I bought. They're called Uvex brand. They look like glasses that you would wear to like mow your grass or something. But I highly recommend getting some and just walking around in nature because I think they're really fun. And like literally anything in my mind that's gonna help people fall deeper in love with nature, that is a good thing because that's what we need to heal our planet. We need everyone to fucking be head over heels in love with nature and just have so much reverence for nature. Like we'll stop fucking cutting down so many trees and we'll stop killing animals unnecessarily and all this stupid shit. So we need everyone to fall in love with nature. That's what Charles Eisenstein always writes about. Please, please, please read some of Charles Eisenstein's work, especially his essay called "The Invisible Paths." That's the one that he let me feature in my superpowers book. So if you get my superpowers book, you can read it. But it's also online. He's got an essay called "The Three Seeds," which is phenomenal. And let's see, "Gathering of the Tribe." All of those essays literally changed my life just reading them once. So please check out those essays. Okay, so Afiami asked the difference in how it feels in the body to share versus use/consume. Okay, so let's tune in with this for a minute. So I like to simplify. I like to simplify that there's generally two states of being. One of them is like giving and like propelling energy out of your cells, for this metaphor at least. So you're like shooting out energy, and then receiving energy, which could also be consumed, is like you're taking in, you're primarily taking in energy. So quite likely there's more states of being, but just to simplify, there's like the shooting out, creating energy, and then there's like the taking in. And that's why I feel like it's not quite as good when you massage yourself, because you're giving and receiving at the same time, so you're not like fully in receptive mode, and it feels really good to be totally in receptive mode. Um okay, she says her phone's dying. Peace and love, my friend. Love you too. Um so yeah, so you could imagine like when you're fully in receptive mode, it's like you're able to like totally reset and recalibrate, and this is like the yin and the yang of the classic Taoist symbol. Um so, it does feel good to be in that giving mode, and a lot of us haven't quite found our preferred way to like share positive energy with other people, and that is what I help people with my coaching. I help people to clarify their purpose and develop a an action plan to implement their purpose. So, um, it feels really good to be able to find something that is your contribution to the world, your way that you give. And I think a lot of people are dissatisfied with their life because they haven't found that way to like give energy. And a lot of other people are just stuck in this constantly consuming, and a lot of people in America are like overweight and stuff. It's like we're only ever receiving, and that doesn't feel good either. And we've been conditioned, like our news calls us consumers all the time. It's like, don't we have an identity as something other than just a person who consumes? Like, why can't we be called creators? What if every day on the news they were like, what's up, creators? What are you creating today? I think that would be amazing. So, anywho, I'm gonna wrap this up here. It's been 42 minutes and 11 seconds. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Once again, if you ever have any questions or want to, explore working with me, or, getting one of my books, feel free to hit me up. I love sharing this stuff. Thank you for, listening to my story about psychedelics. Feel free to watch the replay if you didn't get the full story. And yeah, please check out my YouTube channel. I'm going to be uploading this video to my YouTube channel, and I've got like over 500 videos on there. All right, real quick. Alyssa says, bum. Just when you were talking about the blue light blockers, bum. Now you know why I'm in love with shifting perception. Yeah, my friend Alyssa is commenting. She's been into, expanding perception and somatic therapy for a long time, and she thanks me for being a major creator. Same to you, Alyssa, and same to everyone watching. Hope y'all have a peaceful evening. And my challenge to everyone, I'm going to start saying this in every video. My challenge to everyone is to spend at least 10 minutes a day barefoot connecting with nature. I mean, grass is my preferred option, but of course you can do dirt, you can do a stream, you can do whatever, but we all need to reconnect with nature, and that's a great way to do it. So, thanks for watching, y'all. I hope y'all have a peaceful evening, and I'll see you in the future.